year's draft, the #1 pick overall. Not certainly as physically gifted as Mario Williams, but you can make an argument that Gaines Adams was the more consistent pass rusher from the start of the season this past year till the end. Remember, a lot of Mario Williams sacks his junior year at NC State came the second half of the season. The problem with Gaines Adams, and we'll see it here, number 93, the ability to get after the quarterback is, first of all, the Wake Forest game. He turned that game around here. When you talk about in the fourth quarter, they were down big. Gaines Adams going to get after the quarterback. Gaines Adams here picking up the blocked field goal, taking it all away. And I think that's the thing with Gaines Adams. Off the edge, he will wreak havoc. Against the run, those run responsibilities. Big, strong at the point. That's where he has issues. Lazy, uninspired against the run. You've got to be a complete player in the NFL. A one-dimensional guy this early. That's why some people talk about the bust factor, boom, about Gaines Adams.
Now the pick is in. We're looking for the smile on Gaines. Let's see if we get it now.
Okay, Buck fans. With the 4th pick in the 2007 NFL Draft, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers take Gaines Adams, defensive end, Clemson.
You know what? And that young man's got a good poker face. He was on the phone for a couple minutes. We couldn't read if it was the team or his folks. I mean, it was just what was going on. So Gaines Adams becomes the first defensive player to go, and they start to retool this defense. And by the way, here's what they hope he becomes. When you go up against him, no Gaines Adams.
Well, he brings them that speed off the edge that Monty Kiffin, the defensive coordinator, loves. The only knock I heard on Gaines Adams, for the most part, Mel addressed some of it, is, this guy played 8-man football in high school. Doesn't really mix it up well when you're talking about, holding up against the run and what have you. But for the Tampa Bay defense, they love speed off the edges. You know, Keyshawn, Simeon Rice has 1 year left on his contract. Dwayne White, they traded, is now in Detroit with Rod Marinelli. So, yes, Gaines Adams does make sense.
But I don't think that's really I don't really think that's a factor of whether or not he can play the run. What defensive end in the National Football League plays the run outside of a guy like a Julius Peppers? And he's not Julius Peppers. He's closer to Simeon Rice than anything. So I think they get a fair pick here for what they want to do. But remember, they still may trade this pick. We don't know for sure to Detroit. Keep selling it.
Well, the assumption always was when you did your projections in the first round, and somehow, some way, Tampa Bay was going to get Calvin Johnson, and the Detroit Lions were going to get a Gaines Adams to put together that very formidable defensive front with Rodgers, Redding, and Dwayne White. Obviously, we'll see what happens down the road with whether that scenario unfolds.
Well, the Buccaneers, their glory days. I know, Keyshawn, you want to Super Bowl with them, but their glory days with defense. They had a speed guy on defense. As Mort points out, the first this century that they picked. #1, we'll show you more. Gaines Adams when we come back. But now the Arizona Cardinals, they are on the clock. As still in the green room include Brady Quinn, Adrian Peterson. We'll be back to New York with the 5th pick of the draft in a moment.
Hey, rookies, you want some advice? Take everything you want to do next season and write it down. Like be a starter, or set an NFL record, or make the Pro Bowl. But you still would never put, I'm going to run the opening kickoff of the Super Bowl back for a touchdown. Now your wildest dreams. Welcome to Madden NFL 08, Prime 9-year rated, EA Sports. It's in the game.
Come from. Feels good. Power. I'm really gonna enjoy this.
Love the new outfit. Give me some of that web action.
Rated PG-13, Friday.
If these walls could talk, they'd say with field goal posts this narrow, threading the needle is not always done with your hands. If these walls could talk, they'd say you have to see it to believe it. Russell Athletic, ESPN Arena Football, Monday at 8 p.m. on ESPN2.
The North American Car of the Year is the 2007 Saturn Aura, rising above such competition as Jaguar, Lexus, Mercedes, Nissan, Toyota, and Honda. What does it take to be named the best? Luxury, performance, and a net cost of $18,995. That's right, $18,995. Safety features, Saturn 100,000-mile warranty, and OnStar are all standard. Test drive the North American Car of the Year, the 2007 Saturn Aura at Saturn of Honolulu.
If you're tired of paying for high-priced, old-fashioned help wanted ads in the newspaper, then do what hundreds of other Hawaii business owners have done. Make the switch to Hawaii Jobs on Demand, brought to you in partnership with Oceanic Time Warner Media.
Hawaii Jobs on Demand has been great for Dolphin Quest Oahu. We found several quality applicants to choose from in our employee search. We found the service easy, convenient, and the customer service was wonderful.
HawaiiJobsOnDemand.com. We're the faster, more effective way to find and hire the local employees that you need now.
Welcome back to the 2007 NFL Draft, presented by Coors Light.
Welcome into the NFL Live studios. Trey Wingo here with Mark May, Sean Salisbury, and Michael Smith. All right, guys, the Arizona, for lack of a better term, dilemma right now at 5. The offensive lineman they probably coveted most, Joe Thomas, gone. What do they do, Mark? Do they go offensive line? What about Adrian Peterson, the running back from Oklahoma that is still there?
I think they've got to take an offensive lineman. They may trade down, but Levi Brown is a logical choice. It may be a little bit high to take Levi Brown, the left tackle from Penn State. But the key here is Russ Grimm loves him, the offensive line coach. And the thing is, Russ Grimm, Ken Wisenhunt, I played with both of them in Washington. They go back a long way. They need an offensive tackle. They've got to keep Matt Leinart healthy in this offense. And they've got to be able to run the ball. They've been horrendous the last couple of years running the football, bringing in Edgerrin James, trying to establish a run. But Levi Brown, the left tackle for Penn State, 6'5", 323, does an outstanding job at the point of attack running the football. But the key is, I question a little bit his pass protecting ability. Is he flexible enough to plug in right away in the NFL? That's going to be offensive line coach Russ Grimm's job, his task to get him ready to play at the next level. But if you're looking for a left tackle, he is the second best on the board. And if you're the Arizona Cardinals, you've got to take the second best lineman on the board so that you don't have Joe Thomas.
Yeah, there's no question about it. Now, if they draft Adrian Peterson, Arizona here, they just don't get it, which they haven't gotten in a long time. And I don't believe they do it because Edgerrin James, without that offensive line, couldn't run. And he's still young enough to be productive the next 2 or 3 years. That being said, Levi Brown, good football player. But if you think you can go back 3 or 4 picks to a tight franchise and get him less, then you do it. Now, if Russ Grimm and Ken Wisenhunt think that, you know what, he's worth the fifth pick, then you take him. Because the one thing they want to bring back to this organization, which they haven't had forever, winning is not only winning, but also being physical and dominating. What Wisenhunt did in Pittsburgh, they want to do in Arizona because they got enough perimeter people. A running back here would be a big-time mistake. You got to trade down or get a football player that can help you tomorrow.
Although when Ken Wisenhunt was the offensive coordinator in Pittsburgh, they had a couple of backs that they could throw at people. Okay, so you say trade the pick. Michael Smith, what about the possibility of trading down and maybe getting Levi Brown later?
They won't, because Levi Brown won't get past the Atlanta Falcons at 8. He is their player. They're going to pick him right here in 5, and here's why. As Sean alluded to, the mission for the Arizona Cardinals, they might not win a lot of games, but they want the opposition to know that you face the Arizona Cardinals. Joe Thomas is not their highest rated offensive lineman. It was actually Levi Brown. He's more powerful, he's nastier, and he's more physical, which, again, that's what they want to be on the offensive line. They take him up front, and that's where they're going to go. He is their guy. Russ Grimm conducted his workout at Penn State. That's their guy all along. They're going to take Levi.
No way Levi Brown's going to be a better pro than Joe Thomas, especially early.
But they like what he brings.
It's too high to draft Levi Brown at this position. I think 10, 11, 12, but the 5th pick in the draft, I don't care what the need factor is. Forget about it. It's too high to take him. But they have to probably take a tackle.
But it's only too high if somebody can trade down and get somebody. You see what I'm saying? All right, we'll find out what happens. Boomer, one thing they need to do is address the running game with a back or a tackle. They were 30th in the league a year ago. Back to you.
All right, gang, thank you very much. Back in New York, Adrian Peterson just burst on the scene as a freshman, or the first year he played with Oklahoma. Was unbelievable. Of course, been injury prone since, but special skills at running back. So he's one of those that's being debated by Ken Wisenhunt and the Arizona Cardinals. So Mort, Dennis Green out, Ken Wisenhunt, Russ Grimm and company in. Change of philosophy, Cardinals. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, I think the Cardinals wish that Joe Thomas would have slid to this point so they would have gotten some trade action, maybe slide back a couple picks and take Levi Brown, because yes, Russ Grimm loves Levi Brown, the tackle from Penn State. And a lot of people say they could always use Adrian Peterson, even though they have Edgerrin James, because Adrian Peterson is a game breaker, what have you. But they are clearly trying to get some protection for Matt Leinart, what have you. So Levi Brown makes some sense.
Last 2 years, they've averaged 3.2 yards a carry. That's 2005 and 2006. Edgerrin James was added. No improvement at all from the running game. And my point is, you can't run through a brick wall. And I don't care if you're Edgerrin James or Adrian Peterson. This offensive line is the worst in the NFL. Leonard Davis, who was a disappointment as an early first-round pick, he's moved on to Dallas. That is a horrible offensive line.
Well, the Arizona Cardinals last year were 5-11. Matt Leinart will be starting the full year this year, and who will he have to help?
With the 5th pick in the 2007 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals take Levi Brown, tackle, Penn State.
Penn State, known as linebacker U, doesn't often have the big-time offensive lineman. Levi Brown, Russ Grimm loved him. You heard Mark Mann come out saying.
It is the right pick for them. They have to protect Matt Leinart and get the running game going. Get the football in the hands of those explosive wide receivers that they have. There's no reason to take Adrian Peterson at this spot.
Forget about value. This is about promising Matt Leinart and Edgerrin James. We promise we will get you some people to help you so you can be successful. And that promise has, despite the fact that they probably wish they could have traded, they had to make this pick.
And Ken Whisenhunt, their head coach, believes that the rest of the offensive line is actually in fairly good shape. They're pretty happy with it. They think they can fix some of it. And don't forget, when do you actually get to bring your line coach when you get a head coaching job like Ken Whisenhunt did? They were together with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So there's a natural chemistry there. And of course, Grimm, one of the better line coaches in this league, that line can get whipped up at a higher level pretty quickly here now with Levi Brown.
And the gap between Joe Thomas and Levi Brown wasn't huge. In fact, it closed to the point where a lot of offensive line coaches thought Levi Brown was almost right there with Joe Thomas. Two completely different styles. Levi Brown, you look at a power guy, rough, tough, nasty former defensive tackle, maybe a right tackle, and certainly with Matt Leinart, left-handed quarterback, that may be an option with the Cardinals.
Real quick, a half a sentence each. Can Arizona in that division make a move?
Absolutely. They can score points with some help with offensive line. They can really be a threat. Go on the road for a rare time for the Cardinals in our history. Go on the road and threaten somebody that we're going to put up 28-31, and you better be ready for a ball game because we're going to get nasty, to Mel's point. And I think the Cardinals now in that division with Seattle, San Francisco, no question can start to threaten for the division title.
Well, we'll see. They've got some help now for Matt Leinart. So we've had 5 picks gone with the Washington Redskins now on the clock. And if you're a Redskin fan, you know this is your time because it's barring a trade. It's the only pick they have today, and they don't have a fourth. They're not going to pick to the middle of tomorrow. So enjoy these 15 minutes. Last year, the defense, where did it go? It was so good the year before when they were final 18. It was last in takeaways and 31st overall in the NFL. Like, where did it go? And of course, the old George Allen way of doing it, draft for some other time. The future is now. The fewest draft picks in the league since 2000, and of course today they have the fewest as well.
And we do have to start focusing on Brady Quinn here because we know the Redskins are not taking Brady Quinn because they have Jason Campbell, the quarterback. But this is a spot where the Redskins are hoping if you want Brady Quinn, whether you be the Vikings who are picking right behind you, whether you be the Dolphins at number 9, whether or not the Chicago Bears who are talking to the Redskins about Lance Briggs all of a sudden say, let's go get this guy. This is the spot the Redskins are hoping that their phone is heating up right now as we speak. Let's go to Rachel to hear what she has to say about it. Rachel Nichols.
Well, you mentioned the Miami Dolphins. They're certainly the trade partner that's come up for the Redskins. With Brady Quinn still there on the board, he'd be a great fit in Miami. Well, I talked to GM Randy Mueller of Miami a little bit earlier. He said he will certainly pick up the phone if the Redskins are calling him right now. But that being said, it would have to be a very attractive offer. He said, we need our picks. It's the high rent district up there. And mind you, he thinks that there could still be some fall going on. Even if the Minnesota Vikings do pick Quinn, where does Adrian Peterson land? He said that could be a very interesting conversation. Boomer?
All right, Rachel, thank you very much. So the Washington Redskins, again, if you're a fan of the Skins, tune in now and then go out and enjoy the rest of your day and enjoy a lot of tomorrow. Let's head to the Monday Night Football team. Mike?
Well, you're right, Chris. Everybody's hitting on the big story an hour into the draft. 5 picks gone, and 2 guys who may be Pro Bowl potential for a while, in Adrian Peterson and Brady Quinn. Wait, Tony, we know Washington's set with Jason Campbell at quarterback, but 2 running backs in Portis and Liddell Betts, who played well at the end of the season. That's your neck of the woods. Give me a little feel for the Skins here.
Well, everybody expects them to do pretty much what they've done the last couple of years, which would be to trade this pick for 3 or 4 coordinators. Because they are so stocked in coordinators. And then the way they brought Joe Gibbs back, maybe bring Sonny Jurgensen back.
for somebody like that to handle it.
Well, they got to look on the defensive side of the football. Greg Williams, an outstanding defensive coordinator, loves guys that play smart, very complex, sophisticated defensive system. They're going to look for a defensive guy that is intelligent.
They were terrible last year on defense.
Last year they were. That's why they got to go.
Terrible.
I'm looking at safety. How about LaRon Landry? That sound good, Tony?
Out of LSU, what is the pressure level on the Redskins to keep this one pick, or after months of talk with the trade with Lance Briggs from Chicago, do they need to wheel and deal?
That's what everybody finally expected to happen, that they would get Lance Briggs. What the Redskins do great is in February and March and April is they set their team up by getting very, very high-priced, well-known guys, and those are the promises that later in the fall do not necessarily come true, but they look great usually by now.
You can't overlook, this team was decimated by injuries a year ago. They were a playoff team 2 years ago. It could be a quick re-entry back into the playoffs.
5-11 last year. Washington is on the clock, followed by Minnesota, Atlanta, Miami, and Houston. If that's your team, hang in there. Just like Brady Quinn is showing poise and a Notre Dame experience and exposure, patiently waiting to see who will take him. And Adrian Peterson the same. A star running back, a star quarterback still waiting. Redskins on the clock. The draft continues from all over the NFL. Right after this.
To lose that suit and tie and crack open a cold Coors Light?
Oh, sure. Oh, sure. Yes.
I mean, we all think Coors Light is totally refreshing. Yeah.
I think a number of people are beginning to come to that conclusion.
So why drink any other beer?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Frost Brewed Coors Light, official beer sponsor of the NFL.
Coach, a little help with these empties?
Oh, sorry. I certainly haven't come here to, to clean house.
Hello. Yeah, this head ball coach. He ran a what? Hey, I told you he could really go. Yeah, click-clack.
This is the NFL Draft on ESPN, presented by Coors Light.
Somebody would trade up.
Back at Radio City Music Hall, the Washington Redskins, Brady Quinn in the green room. He'll go soon enough. He's not right here, as you point out. Number 1 pick a year or two ago, Jason Campbell. And so Brady Quinn, Adrian Peterson, waiting for the call. Mel, here's who's sitting. A couple of guys in the green room. I don't think either will wait that much longer.
Yeah, Adrian Peterson, great running back. We know about the durability issues. Minnesota's got a tough decision to make. They have Chester Taylor, Brady Quinn. Will Minnesota take him? They traded up in the second round to get Tavares Jackson last year. They also have Miami sitting there at 9, waiting to see if he'll fall in their lap. And the best defensive player in this draft is LaRon Landry. He would be a great addition to a secondary that needs help next to Sean Taylor. That safety combo, if you add Landry with Taylor, could be exceptional.
All right, Washington's philosophy. Like I said, back to the future in the George Allen days. Well, they haven't picked much. Hard to build stability when you're signing free agents in their 30s.
Well, it's like it's a philosophy, but I think I've always been a draft guy. Build up draft choices, add to your arsenal, bring in that homegrown talent. The Redskins de-emphasize the draft, and I think they're going back now, trying to get back to homegrown players via the draft. They have no 2, no 3, and no 4 this year, but if they add LaRon Landry, they get, as I said, the best defensive player in this draft, to fortify that secondary. He and Sean Taylor would be a great complement to each other. So I think that will change. I think they found out that, hey, going after an Adam Archuleta, a Brandon Lloyd, a TJ Bucket, the list goes on and on, isn't the right way to go. Veterans that are good fits with other teams come in, get the big money. They're not as hungry, and they're not the right fit with your team and your system. So I think it's a good starting point if they can, in fact, add LaRon Landry, and here he is right there. Pick 6 in the draft to get the best defensive player. That doesn't often happen.
Moments ago, LaRon Landry, who is not here in New York, but this is what we saw just moments ago, and you would think, there's your defense. You point out, if LaRon Landry and Sean Taylor are your safeties, nobody's running deep across the middle, I don't think. Not too many, right, Keyshawn?
That's for sure.
Right? I mean, even you have to think about it.
If that's the fact, then I think you got to think about Sean Taylor and this guy. I just seen a highlight of him. He knocked this guy silly into the ground. So when you think about that, they concerns are their secondary. They have the older corner in Sean Screen, but this guy will give them some attention to detail, do some things back there to get back to that younger youth inside the draft, like they've been doing in the past. They've been drafting guys, but they've been getting away from good players. It was a horrible draft with Steve Spurrier. Now, finally, they're going to pick the right guy.
And his real strength, LaRon Landry, is in the box as a safety around the line of scrimmage, can blitz, get after the quarterback, tremendous tackler, playing the deep ball, questionable hands, that's not his strength. Sean Taylor will be able to be the center fielder in that defense. LaRon Landry will be the guy getting up in that box and making plays. As I said, there's not a more assured tackler in the country. He's a 4-year starter. You know how physical he is. You watch him there, number 30, getting after the quarterback, delivering that blow, a tough, aggressive player there as well, delivering the hit in coverage, again on the blitz. The ability to close on that quarterback at 6'1", 210 pounds. He ran a 4.35 at the combine. Hands for the interception, questionable. He had 3 picks this past year. Could have had very easily 6, 7. Could have doubled that. You see the reactability. Again, you're talking about a guy in the box, seeing what's going on, reading the quarterback's eyes, recognizing it's reverse, getting and closing. Talking about the ability to take the right angle in pursuit. He can do that. Talking about measurables and physical prowess. 6'1", 210 pounds. 4.35, 40, 37.5-inch vertical jump. Gifted athlete, and I think the Redskins will kind of mask the problems that he has playing that deep ball and in coverage by using the complimentary guy, Sean Taylor, to do that.
You have to be a heck of a football player to be a 4-year starter at LSU. And you put LaRon Landry and Sean Taylor back there, not a lot of receivers, maybe not even Keyshawn Johnson, going to have a lot of fun running across the middle.
As we said, you know what's interesting? So think about it. You have the quarterback's already gone. You could have LaRon Landry real high. The 2 receivers were outstanding. Bowen Davis, we could hear from them real. What kind of team do they have, LSU? Pretty darn impressive.
Heck of a football team, and you look at LaRon Landry, he's been around talent for 4 years as a starter. He's been playing against SEC competition. And when you look at the Washington Redskins, and you'd say, okay, they have Sean Taylor. What do they have if they don't have LaRon Landry? Pearson, Braylow, Vernon Fox, a big hole there. If something happened to Sean Taylor, they would be in big trouble at the safety spot. Now you have a dynamic duo. The question mark with LaRon Landry is, like a center fielder who doesn't judge a fly ball well, that's his problem. That's not going to be an issue, because Sean Taylor will be doing that.
Keyshawn, though, let's look at, and look, they have Clinton Portis going to be healthy. Betts runs, so it's probably not going to be Adrian Peterson yet.
Well, if I'm Adrian Peterson and Brady Quinn, I'm not so much worried about where I'm going to go right now. And a lot of times people worry about going in the first round or high picks because of the dollars. And that makes sense if you want to do some things financially, but it's always better to go to the right place and be with the right team. Because as we know, in this league, if you go too high and you get cut, then everybody's going to deem you as a bust. So for him, I look for Adrian Peterson to maybe go to Minnesota.
He won't be waiting long. That's all I'm going to tell you.
So if I'm you, Adrian, you watching me, don't get down in the green room.
He's not down. The Redskins have made the selection, and here's the question with Washington, and I have to ask this. You're going to sing Hail to the Redskins and going to draft a guy named Landry?
Tough. Ooh, tough, but you know what?
Interesting. We'll see. We'll see. The commissioner has the card. The Redskins took all their time. Here it is. Enjoy it, Redskin fans.
With the 6th pick in the 2007 NFL Draft, the Washington Redskins take LaRon Landry, safety, LSU.
They did it. They did it.
We're in an era of cover two. Safeties are becoming kind of corners in many ways. They're the deep guys. And to your point, Mel, you question some of his skills, not down in the box, but out in the field. And so now you have two safeties. You're going to play some cover two. That's probably not the best spot for both of these guys. Both of these safeties love to be.
Greg Williams is not a traditional cover two guy.
Right, so you got two guys that want to be in the box. It'll be interesting to see how they play that out.
There's a look at Brady Quinn. There's action already at the Minnesota table. I'm thinking the running back. They certainly could think of Brady Quinn, but waiting in the wings is Miami, a couple of teams down. And if it went that way, Peterson, running back Vikings, Quinn, quarterback Miami. Admittedly, there's another pick in between there, Atlanta. It would kind of be the way any thought.
Here's the thing about Adrian Peterson. You know, he broke his collarbone at Oklahoma last season. And then in the Fiesta Bowl, he played and kind of re-injured it. Didn't re-break it. And so a lot of teams, they brought him back to the Indianapolis Scouting Combine for a physical, a recheck is what they call it. And the doctors there said he's going to be fine. Dr. James Andrews, the noted orthopedist out of Birmingham, Alabama, also says he does not need surgery. He will be fine. So guys like Adrian Peterson who come in here with that injury question mark, which is one reason I think the Browns didn't take him, because they don't want any risk. Right here, it makes a lot of sense to people as we get into these three picks.
Toughness and character.
Oh, he's an unbelievable runner.
Most guys that would get injured as a junior would care about money and wouldn't come back to play for their team. He's shown that. So I don't think injuries are a real problem.
No, what's interesting about Adrian Peterson, when you talk to the evaluators, they said, if I wasn't concerned a little bit about durability, just a little bit, this guy could be an all-timer. We think he can be an all-time running back. When you got a talent like this, slip into this next few spots.
That rare combination of talent and work ethic. His nickname is AD, not for Adrian, but all day. His teammates say that he is the hardest working guy they've ever been around. And when you get a guy like that with that talent, very special.
Well, let's go down to the green room now. Susie Culver. Suze?
Tom Condon represents both Brady Quinn and Adrian Peterson. We seem to do this every year. What has been the advice so far for Brady?
Well, both Brady and Adrian, along with my partner Ben Dogma, both terrific young men and great players. So their value's on the board now, and it's unusual to have them last this long. But nevertheless, that's the way the draft goes, and teams are matching need along with the grades. So, I think Brady and Adrian are both fine. They know that they're going to go someplace in the National Football League, and it ought to be pretty soon. And I think they're looking forward to great careers. So they're not very tense about this.
What's been unusual about this situation this year?
Well, I think that, you had 5 offensive players that everybody had very highly rated. And then you run into teams such as Tampa and Washington that really aren't looking for an offensive player. If they're unable to make a trade with somebody, then they're going to take a pick, and they're going to take a pick at a position that they need. So I think that's had a little bit to do with it.
Minnesota up now. Any indications?
Well, Minnesota could certainly, my understanding is that they have Adrian very highly rated on their board, and so it wouldn't be a surprise at all if they would take him here. Otherwise, I'd expect it very shortly. We will have somebody trade up for one of these guys, or else they'll come off the board with the drafting team.
And latest phone call that involved Brady in any way?
At this time of the day, it's most of all my phone calls on the players are from the press, so the teams aren't disclosing much right now.
All right, Tom, thanks.
Okay, thanks, Susie.
All right, Susie, thank you very much. The Minnesota Vikings on the clock, year 2 under head coach Brad Childress. Now, remember last year, they started the year with Brad Johnson, a quarterback, and then went to the Bollinger got starts, and then they went to a youngster who they traded up a year ago to get the second round, Tavares Jackson, who Brad Childress says, look, I mean, the book, a lot of people would say, really, you're going to go with him? He would feel comfortable enough. Let's see what he has. He liked him a lot last year when he was backing up Brad Johnson. You say, well, wait a minute now. The Vikings had a season that went backwards, 6-10. I will say this about the Vikings. For a team that was 6-10, to have two parts of your team, the left side of the offensive line, from Burke over to Hutchinson, McKinney out there at the left side, that is unbelievably strong. To have #1 ranked rush defense in football. In other words, you have two things to hang your hat on. A running back with the left side of the offensive line, wouldn't that make sense? It would make sense to me. We'll come back. The Vikings are on the clock. They've got some time left. The NFL draft, Minnesota style. Brady Quinn, Adrian Peterson, is this their time?
Yeah, this head ball, coach. Hey, I told you he could really go. Click, clap.
Biggest pick of the draft. Fifth pick, 6th round. TJ Hoshimazode. Yes, lock it up.
Who?
TJ, how's the vanilla? All right. TJ, who's your mama?
NFL.com Fantasy Rule 17. Know how to pronounce your draft picks.
You mean TJ Houshmandzadeh from the Bengals?
Put him on the board. Hoshimazode. Got it. Championship.
Go to NFL.com/fantasy for early bird specials sign-up offered. And now, life without Roadrunner.
Dude, what's the deal?
You just got owned.
Thanks to you.
It's not me, Chief. It's your DSL. You want an online advantage? You need Roadrunner High Speed Online.
How can I compete without Roadrunner?
One word for you. Not gonna happen. Bam! Again!
Call 643-2337 to get a 30-day free trial of Hawaii's fastest internet service. Time Warner Cable, the power of you.
9 enter the battlefield to protect their treasure, the diamond. 1 stands up to them all to bring it all home. It has all come down to this. Who will come out victorious in high school baseball? Join us for our live coverage of the OIA Baseball Playoffs. The quest for glory begins this Wednesday night at 6:30. OIA Baseball on OC16. Brought to you by Zippy's, Pizza Hut, and the Tony Group Autoplex.